Ricky, I'm so privileged to wait an inquiry of our company. I know that you must have trepidation or fear about how we'll handle the information you gave us. My name is Andrew. I promise you I will treat all of our conversations with respect, confidentiality, and the importance of your inquiry. Let's have a conversation to see how we might serve you, or if we can't, who else we should send you to.
Hey, Andrew, so good to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. And it's great to be amongst friends from the Southern Hemisphere.
Oh, that always. That's what a place to kick off this podcast, right? So tell us, Andrew, how have you got to where you got to? You're in Chicago, but I hear an accent coming through. Give us the whole journey.
I'm a long way from home. I was born in Johannesburg, South Africa. I started life as, of all things, an actuary. I studied like statistics and mathematics and finance.
Wow.
And in a triumph of courage over wisdom, a year in, before I even qualified, I started my first business. And in 3 months flat, discovered I had no idea how to sell. And having a degree and a nearly professional qualification didn't count for a damn thing. So I was lucky to have this extraordinary chairman who was one of those people I used to say was a natural salesperson. I'll tell you now, like I've learned that skill comes with thousands of hours of practice. And I asked him, how are you so good? I would see him going to meetings and tell stories and entertain people and then close a $100 million deal. But he didn't have a great answer for me. So being mathematical and I guess with an engineering mindset, I've spent most of my life trying to understand how to decode, formulate, and then put into learnable skills and habits what defines a magnetic, trustworthy, awesome human being, assuming that's a skill, not just the luck of your birth or otherwise. And so today, like I'm in Chicago. I love the city in the summer. It's Chicago friends, hell in winter. So I travel
damn
a lot.
cold. Yeah.
Travel a lot, especially in the winter, especially to the Southern Hemisphere. And I also have the privilege of, I'm part of the faculty of the Kellogg Sales Institute, which is part of the Kellogg School of Management, a great brand in America and globally, well known in Australia, but I'll admit that my family think I teach at the Snap, Crackle and Pop Institute.
I was just going to ask, do you get discounts for cornflakes?
Yeah. No, unfortunately, but it's what a privilege to be there, to be part of what is one of the very few of the top 10 business schools in the world focus on sales as a discipline and a research function. And my personal passion is trust. And I think that salespeople deserve to be the most trustworthy profession on the planet. Why? Because we live to help other human beings make progress in their lives. But the current reality is we are at the bottom of every league table when people are asked, which professions do you trust and how much?
But not important. I'm a lawyer. We're at the bottom.
You know, I wish that were true. Tell me how you feel when someone says, this is Sean, he's a lawyer. Ricky, you're a sales guy.
Yeah, they're like,
oh, come on, man.
We can trust Ricky. He's a sales guy.
I have to be the sales guy on this?
Oh, dude, did you see your smiling face the whole time we was talking about doing salespeople sales school? You're like, you're like a Cheshire cat.
Yeah, exactly. And personally, I know I've got a face and a smile that looks like I'm hiding something. So like I deal with the fact that I am, as I walk into a single day, I have the privilege of teaching. And as a professor in a world-class business school, you get awarded trust until you blow it.
Mm.
And then 2 hours later, I'll be going into a sales meeting under my habit activation business, Habits at Work. And I'm treated as a founder salesperson. And you have to claw your way into trust, given that no one knows who you are or what you've done. Or maybe they looked on LinkedIn and they didn't like your face the first time because of regret. So it's just a beautiful science to talk about and to play with, to see what does it look like for me to exemplify every part of my life, what it looks like to be trustworthy. Given, by the way, a million mistakes in trustworthiness and broken promises in the history of my life.
It's everyone's life.
Everyone. Yeah,
of course.
But I think it's super interesting. We've had lots of people come on and talk to us about sales and sales training and really the craft of being a salesman, because it's not something you just go do. It is a craft. But we have a really deep dive trustworthiness. And I think you make a super interesting point on when you're a professor, you get treated one way, and then 1 hour later, you could walk into a room to sell, and you've got to build all that trust back up that you get just by being called professor. And so, I'd love to deep dive a bit more of that, like how you see that, how you deal with that as you go about your selling.
Yeah. And, you raise a great point, which is this dichotomy between one life as a professor and one life as a salesperson getting treated completely differently, but it's the same human. That tells you that this is not a problem of whether or not I'm actually trustworthy. It's whether or not I'm judged to be worthy of trust.
So it's perception.
And unfortunately, in the early stages, people use false signals to decide if you're trustworthy. For example, do you look like me? Do you sound like me? Do you smile at me? Do you make eye contact in certain cultures? Are you respectful of me? Are you dressed like me? We're looking for signs you're like me so I can trust you. And as soon as that's over, if we smell motive and we put people in a trust hole, it's really difficult to get out of. And my experience is most salespeople, and I've done this for years, say trust takes time to build. And what I now know is climbing out of a trust hole takes months if you ever get even the privilege of doing so. But establishing yourself as trustworthy in the perception of another is a milliseconds to minutes problem. I call it the platinum 5 minutes. If you can't answer the question for someone, who am I and what do I want, in a way that has them believing I'm sincere, I'm capable, and I have a track record. If like all of that doesn't happen in 5 minutes, I think you've got really big problems on your hands. And to your point about treating this as a craft, how many of us as humans have spent an hour, let alone half an hour once a week, designing this extraordinary first impression? And then, of course, the next hour really counts too, the golden hour. But there's a lot of emphasis in sales training on negotiations and pitching and the mechanics of closing, when in my view, 95% of the sale is over in the first hour. And 95% of the trust you need to earn the right for that first hour is built in the first 5 minutes.
I am 100% with you. Like, we were big on this, Andrew, especially when it came to the discovery session. How you showed up in the first minute or two is really what sets the tone. So just going back to what you were saying earlier about gift of the gab, looking up to leaders when you were younger, I was no different. I used to think someone who spoke well, someone who could get up on the stage and had that confidence, had that jacket with the square and looked the part. I was like, they know what they're doing. It was just in my head, because of the success they had achieved, I didn't really understand. As you said, there are fundamental things you need to learn along the way. So now that there is a school and you're a professor, what is that? Like, how do you go learning about sales so that it is a profession? Because a lot of people still, we speak to, they fall into it. Like, especially in this part of the world, there is, I could be wrong here, Sean, but I'm not aware of any institution or AUT or anything similar that's actually doing a sales course. It's something you just end up just falling into.
Even if there is 99% of people fall into it.
Right? Like,
and necessity is the mother of invention sometimes in your career. And sometimes they say about us salespeople, we couldn't make it as engineers or other things, and so we chose to sell. So
that is true.
Being a professional actuary, very well regarded profession, I resigned from being an actuary for the privilege of calling myself a very proud salesperson. And like my personal mission is we create the infrastructure that professionalizes sales. So like you, Sean, who earns the respect that a credentialed degree and practice in law deserves, shouldn't we have the same for salespeople? You can say, I have a stamp of approval from an amazing Australian university that says I've got a degree in the art and craft of helping another human make progress in their lives and loving the experience. How can I help?
I don't know, there's a lot to take it, but I don't love the whole being a lawyer gives you X. I think your mission is 100% something I'm like. Sales is the fundamental backbone of a lot of what goes on in software, and it should be seen as something more than an untrustworthy profession. I think I personally have learned so much about sales in the last 10 years working with Ricky. Like, it is a complex beast to actually be a salesperson, and that deserves some level of trust.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm hoping more CEOs will agree with is that the price you can charge in the market for a piece of technology or any other SKU or widget comes with a premium above the market average for the value of working with a really trustworthy sales team and customer success team. So I believe like you can charge a sustainably high gross margin over the industry if you have the most trustworthy sales team in your industry. And that's an achievable thing. There are companies that own the biggest, the fastest, the cheapest competitive mountaintop. But if you're a CEO, do you own the most trustworthy sales force competitive mountain? Because what a missed opportunity if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Andrew, for a lot of people listening in, the young salespeople, the SDRs who want to come up as enterprise salespeople or whatever their future holds, right? They're listening to this guy and Andrew is saying it makes a ton of sense, but what do I need to then do, or what behavior or what changes do I need to make to ensure that when I do turn up on these calls, I've got that trust of prospect within the, as you said, the first 5 minutes? What are those little tactical tips? Can you share those?
Yeah, there are many that would occur for you as obvious and common sense, yet not commonly practiced. Things like when you start a Zoom call, make sure you're looking into the camera with a big smile on your face and taking advantage of the signal that's sent to our own brains when we smile reflexively at someone who's made eye contact with us with an open posture and an excited attitude. Tell your face what a privilege it is to be with someone as a human before they're a customer or a prospect. So things you can do before you even open your mouth. But when you do open your mouth, your job is to stand apart as someone who others view as trustworthy. So that's a job to be both different from everyone else, but also similar to your prospect. How do you do that? You surface the things that we have in common. So instead of saying, "Hey, how are you today?" and getting a nothing answer, have the courage to ask about someone's favorite book or what they just did this weekend that was memorable, or take the courageous step to try and connect with them as a human before you tell them, "Do you have 5 minutes to listen to my pitch?" or "Let me tell you about my company," or any of the things that are credentializing. And I guess it all comes down to this mindset, which is customers decide that they want to buy from you before they decide if or what they want to buy from your company. So their first question is like, do I buy you as a human being? And what I worry about for many SDRs is sometimes they're given a script or being asked to send a 30 touch point email and social media campaign. I don't know about you, but as a recipient of those, I am fully annoyed with that tuning.
Oh, I love it.
I don't respond. And SDRs who may have ambitions to be lifelong salespeople should remember their reputation goes with them from one company to the next. So sometimes that means choosing to be, dare I say, more human than the script and the business process asks you to be in a modern market.
My follow-up question to that then is, you just described the fundamental sales process that almost all companies use, right? SDRs, that cold touch, reaching out, they're calling them, they're doing that sort of stuff. And I think trust is super important. How much harder does that make building trust? If your first connection is, I'm a buyer, I meet you, Andrew, for 30 minutes and you're the SDR and you have to convince me to book a meeting with some other person, right? So when the actual salesperson comes into close, are they already in a trust hole? If the SDR hasn't.
Just think of the ridiculousness of it. My friend Mary called you up 2 weeks ago, was charming and sweet, and somehow convinced you to have a meeting. Now you're showing up to a meeting with me. You've never met me. You don't know who the hell I am. But the first words are on my mouth, "Oh, let me show you a demo."
but it's the best
Like,
product.
oh, man, what are you even doing?
Dude, at least they said, let me show you a demo. I didn't just go, I'm in. Here it is. Step one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If the system broken, I believe so. I understand that there were efficiencies. There was this idea that SDRs are really good at lead gen and AEs are really good at closing, and there's differential costs to these resources. And all of the logic of it is awesome. But it does come with this side effect that we say it's now a numbers game. Number of touch points, number of emails, etc. All valid. But please tell me, what is the cost of the 980 people who you annoyed and didn't open your email the first 17 times? Are you computing the cost of reputation damage? Or are you just counting the attribution of the little percentage of things that did work in your sales by annoyance strategy?
This is so on point and something Sean and I speak of quite a bit, because the conveyor belt model really just came in because you could see the touch point of the funnel all the way through. Everyone liked it. On the other, as you say, reputational damage is massive. But if I'm an individual, I just want to go back to the practicality of this, Andrew. If I'm an individual contributor in this organization, I may have the best ideas, and I could be this person who is like, I hear you, Andrew. I'm a firm believer of this concept that people buy from people. I start to do things my way. I'll probably only get a day or two because someone's going to be on my ass saying, hey, you're not following the cadence. You're not following the script. And before I know, I'll probably be put on a pip.
Yeah.
How do you break that mold?
Like,
Like,
it
how do
doesn't
you...
work. Not only have
But you don't, I don't think you see it far enough for it to actually work.
True.
Because you pulled up, right? Like, so remember,
Also true.
you're talking to junior people who don't have the courage in most cases to break the mold. So is the system that far broken, like from top down, where it needs fixing?
Yeah. I don't think there's any way to sugarcoat it, but that's the model that we've used to scale businesses with success. And when something works, you carry on doing it. There are countless examples of externalities caused by businesses where it's like polluting the environment or reputational damage to the industry or salespeople. There are externalities while the companies grew big and okay. So I'm not commenting on the morality of what we did or even the efficacy. My view is the opportunity for owning the trust position. And how do you do that? Start with a leader who says, you know what? I want my customers to say about us, that's the most trustworthy company. I love Ricky. I'll follow Ricky to the ends of the earth because I trust that man with my children and my business. Hopefully, that kind of bottom. And that as a leader, I see that value, some might call it a soft value, but I would argue that it is every bit as real as goodwill is for a brand. Trustworthiness of your sales force is the goodwill that deserves a premium, like Coca-Cola does over no-name brand colas.
Do you think, and I know you're talking sales specifically, but I think of it more as customer journey as a whole when I think about this concept you're talking about. But do you think that change is shifting? As businesses, particularly where they're heavily funded by third parties, private equity, et cetera, it is a numbers game. You jump onto a bandwagon, you follow said bandwagon, it's working. So everyone follows said bandwagon because it's working and you make a huge amount of money. Last year and a half has not been as easy. A lot of private equity backed companies or venture backed companies or other companies now, because they follow the lead, are shifting to figure out what the next 5 years looks like. Do you think it shifts back to that model or do a more customer-centric trust style model? Do you think that change is going to happen? Is happening? Is it slightly happening?
Would you agree with me that we have been talking about customer centricity and value selling and putting the customer at the center of everything for a long time? So I think the mindset, the language is already there. What I think we're missing is the translation from that sentiment to the frontline behaviors, Ricky, you were asking about. Like, what does an SDR do in the current environment to be trustworthy when being asked to do 1,000 emails a week and 100 calls? What do they actually do?
Yeah.
And I think all you could do is say, Andrew, from the Ricky and Sean company, And
I was going to trust that comment.
and you're going to go into your script and you'll get turned down 80% of the time, or you could choose to just go off it. And if it works, I think you'll get the grace from your team because they are counting your numbers. But I would also say things like when you introduce your AE, if you can, at least make a trust transfer email introduction. Let me introduce you to Sean, and here are 3 things you should know about Sean. He's got this grand experience. He has achieved this amazing thing in his life. He's too modest to do that himself. And he has a quirky, funny thing about him. So that when prospect arrives on the call with Sean, at least I'm smiling at the fact that you raise, I don't know, government benches for a living or something fun.
It also leads to that first conversation, right? You'd be like, mate, I can't believe Ricky sent you that email telling you that I dress up as a clown on the weekend. It's so embarrassing. Jesus, like, it's good to instantaneously you have something that you can laugh about and joke about and carries a clip. I love it. I think that's great too.
And I'm really conscious of what you said earlier, Ricky. When I was 23 and starting a sales career, I didn't know anything other than follow a script of what someone else told me. Like, in fairness, I think there are a lot of young sellers who are really committed, really trying hard and using the system and seeing that it works. And maybe not yet having had the reputational blowback or the visceral experiences of really noticing that they're not being trusted. To have them say, well, maybe there are other ways where I can preserve and build trust in me as a human across my career. So when I come back to you, Ricky, I'll say 6 months ago, I was just selling you Acme Inc. products, told you it was the best in the world. Now I'm with the Sean product company and I promise you it's the best in the world. Like, you notice that's going to rob you of integrity when you're not careful with how you make the claims for your company. And there's a lot of really good speakers. Todd Capone is one of them who talks about transparency. And I love what he has to say about the ratings. Let's be honest. A product isn't going to work all the time. Our people are going to make mistakes. Maybe there'll be downtime on the tech. I don't know. We're not going to build the things you want in the order you want. You've got lots of cuts. Stuff will go wrong, but here's how you can count on us to behave when that happens. Like, you have someone come and sell to me who makes me a promise for how they'll behave when things go wrong, rather than promises me they won't. Like, where do I sign? Because I want the so that your check will work. But if the bunch of people around it, you usually make it seem.
Do you think there's a difference if it's like an inbound lead? You're an SDR, you got the inbound lead coming in. So these people are already looking for obviously something that you're selling. Does that give them some coverage on this trust building, at least till they hand it over? Does it make no difference?
I do think it makes a difference because when we're asking for something, we're in a different state of receptivity than when we're being sold. But I also think there is a grand opportunity to take this maybe cautious inquiry, which is, I didn't know how else to get info, so I filled in the form. I didn't really want to put in my private details. Here I go and hope for the best. I would anticipate people are nervously handing over the info. And what I would say then to an SDR or a sales team is, if your product is so good that people are going to buy it despite you, you're not in sales. Take the order, get out of the way. But if there's a chance that they could buy from you or someone else, and they're inquiring, take that as an opportunity to stand apart. And if nothing else, send an email that says, Ricky, I'm so privileged you made an inquiry of our company. I know that you must have trepidation or fear about how we'll handle the information you gave us. My name is Andrew. I promise you I will treat all of our conversations with respect, confidentiality, and the importance of your inquiry. Let's have a conversation to see how we might serve you, or if we can't, who else we should send you to. There are ways of just that beautiful golden rule. Treat customers like you would want them to treat your children.
Yeah. I saw the big grin on Sean's face when you said something about order taking, because you're right. As part of the machine, you just end up there. So we've talked about the gaps and the holes that exist in the current system, Andrew, or current playbooks, whatnot. If I'm that young founder in 2024, sitting here going, everything that Andrew's saying makes so much sense. I'm about to launch my business. How should I be actually then looking at this go-to-market engine? As Sean touched on, is because it's just beyond sales too, right? I've got to work through like, how should that first touch point look like? So what are some of the things I should be looking out for, Andrew? And how do I get this right from the get-go?
I teach a course called Entrepreneurial Selling. And the question you're asking is that same question, which is, you haven't built your product, maybe not even the prototype. You've got no customers, no track record, no references, no nothing. And maybe you don't even have the 3 mates you've got on your board actually on board. How do you convince someone to buy from you a product that might be etherware right now? And the answer I give to every salesperson, not just entrepreneurs, is if you think you're selling your product, you're missing the point. What your job is to do is to deeply understand this human in front of you, where they are, where they'd like to end up in life, how they're already thinking about getting there without you, because they got a plan. It's not be silly and naive to think they got no plan. And what would an angelically arriving guide look like for them, where they go over and they're like, I met Ricky and Sean today, best day ever. Love these guys. I want them to guide me in like fixing this tech problem. So if that's the problem to be solved, I would be asking as an entrepreneur this question: how do I build into every touch point a promise for how I'll behave? And that promise may just be the way we're dressed. It may be the way we send thank you notes after a meeting. It may be the way we ask for permission to lead a discovery call versus jumping right in. But in every part of it, I would be asking this question: what can I do that allows other people to trust me easily, feel like it's a gift to meet me, and be excited to spend more time with me, so that I can earn the right to help them in their life journey? And if the stars align, I'll sell something in the process. As my friend Craig Woodman always says, a sale is the natural outcome of a process done well. And I mean, what selling is the process of almost mechanically, but with grace, figuring out how to get someone from where they are to a beautiful future, and love the journey.
So very true. The pitch that we get from the founders, in fact, I just got one this morning. It had a 2-minute demo, not to name any names, but the founder, as soon as you click on it, is selling the product. They right away are selling the product. They're barely defining the problem. There is no backstory. And even with the ones that then, the second part of this is like, when you do have founders who do have a really good story and they get funded and they get all that good stuff, but when they then, to your earlier comment about professor to salesperson, when then they put their salesperson hat on, they get on their demo, none of that happens.
Yeah.
It's right away, this is the best product, this is the game changer, this is what you've been waiting for, boom, let's go. Like, why do people maybe there is no why, there's an answer. But how often do you see that? There is an answer?
All the time, and I've done it myself 1,000 times. And I think it is the curse of loving our own ideas, our own products, and our own voice more than is reason. Because we have a degree and we built this thing, or we're an entrepreneur and I've spent $200,000 of my father-in-law's money. And in fact, I've got a lot riding on this thing. So you bet I'm going to tell you how cool it is and it's the best, because if I'm honest, I'm a little desperate. And I've got $4 million of funding and I got to make sure this works. Cool. It's hairy being an entrepreneur. Get the pressure to put that aside. And remember that like the product is super important. After someone has made the decision that they'll believe what you say about anything. And I think founders will be served by the visceral experience of this thought experiment. Walk down a big street in any city. At some point, you'll see 2 teenagers in matching t-shirts with clipboards, and they make eye contact with you. How does that feel? And what do you do in response? Right? When you come at someone with product and it's best and it's awesome and I'm an entrepreneur, that's what it feels like. And people are picking up the phone and turning around and leaving because it's annoying, or you trap them. And so they'll listen for a bit, but they're desperate to get off the phone. Like, who wants to be in the company of someone who is interrupting their life at an inconvenient time, unless they are funny or interesting or just awesome in the first couple of seconds? All you got.
Speaking of which, the best ones of those teenagers in there are the ones that just crack jokes or find a way to stop you without saying, "Do you want to give to this charity?" And it works, because if you go to my bank account statement and see how many freaking charities are sitting on there, those things do work sometimes, but you have to have some sort of reason for someone to stop that isn't that charity.
And I think it's in my terminology about the promises you make and deliver and the size of those over time. So like, I interrupt you. I've just cost you time and annoyance. I better pay you back for that and then some. And I've got maybe 3 seconds to do that. Joke or a beautiful smile or something that makes you feel like promise made and delivered. And then I've got 6 seconds. Now, what do I do with that interruption? Can I ask you a provocative question? Can I tell you the briefest of story? And I think of it like these little promises. Everyone is a drop in your trust bank account. And if you make a big one too early, it's like me saying, I got the lottery ticket numbers for Friday night. $100 million. I'll sell them to you for $10. Want to buy them? And you'd be like, you're crazy, Andrew. You have no credibility to be making that size promise. For me, it's about who you are as a promise and what you do as a promise in the little micro moments rather than the grand gestures. And someone who leads with a big promise just sounds like a con person.
30 minutes with you on a podcast. I want to do your course. I'm an enterprise salesman now. So I open the door to the boardroom and walk in. There are 8 people sitting in that room. How do I build trust in that first 30 seconds when I got to make eye contact with 8 people, smile at 8 people? You look stupid sometimes going individual person, smiling like that to each one. Like, how do I do this component, which is so important when I walk into a boardroom?
Yeah. The first thing that one should do is put on your game face before you come in. And what I mean by that is, in my case, to stop jumping for joy that it's 8-1, because those are beautiful odds. The more you've got on your side, the more difficult it becomes. So give me 8-1 all day long. Now you have an audience, and that's an easier beast to manage than a human. I know that sounds odd, but I would think of myself as someone with the opportunity to have 8 people have an extraordinary day. I can't look them all in the eye at the same time, but I can spend 4 or 5 minutes going and doing it one by one and forgetting about it being 8 as a group and think of it as just 8 individuals. And most people will be under such pressure to want to start pitching a meeting that they won't think to invest 5 minutes in getting each person, greeting them, shaking their hands, looking them in the eye, telling a joke if you have that skill, and connecting as a human. Because otherwise, in my view, you jump in early and you got to spend 55 minutes.
You tend to see a lot of sit down and then they go, let's go around the table and do intros. And then you get
business cards
and the business cards. Yeah.
Guys, so you're talking to a soapbox topic for me, because I think the biggest missed opportunity is let's introduce ourselves. And I'm sure you've heard this. My name is Andrew. I'm the head of sales for Habits at Work, and I worked at this place and that place. And then I didn't like the boss there, so I moved. Also, I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you, Demo, and thanks for having me.
Oh, I
It's
definitely
just-
and we're super pumped because we know we're going to solve all your problems. You forgot that bit. Yeah.
Sign me up.
Oh, if that's a trailer for the movie of you, I'm picking the channel. I have a thing for that, which is I'll offer it to your listeners. I think it's magic. It's 3-sentence personal origin story. That is 1 sentence about my credibility. You never need more than that. 1 poignant sentence about why I do what I do, so that you're clear I'm in it for you, not for my commission. And then 1 impactful sentence about the privilege of what I get to do today. So it may sound like my name is, with a pause so people are ready to hear your name, Ricky. I have 3 decades of experience helping early stage companies think about and figure out their scaling. But a couple of years ago, I realized that without trust, nothing is possible. And so today I have the privilege of helping founders infuse trust into every part of their company. What a privilege to be here.
Mate, just gonna cut that part and just use it every time with your voiceover.
Yeah. But I think that the point that people miss is that's just a formula in the background. It sounds beautiful because it's like a magic trick, which is it appears to defy the laws of physics, but it's really just an illusion. And in this case, the illusion is not really a delusion. It is that you don't see I'm answering the question, who am I? Why do I do what I do? Why am I humbled and passionate about it? And if I've been careful in the choice of what I share about my background, I've also chosen things that might connect with you. Instead, if I knew, Sean, you were a lawyer, I might say,
I would have come
my
on.
educational background is in actuarial science because I wasn't smart enough to be a lawyer.
Yeah, I'd be like, that's so good. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Duh.
But no, I think what Ricky said was first, you'd be like, yeah, I didn't know you were a lawyer. If I did, I wouldn't have come.
Andrew would have been like, oh man, you should have told me Sean's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Fuck this. I'm out.
I do want to address a lot of people say, Andrew, this sounds like you're being inauthentic. And what I'd say is your personal origin story is about you, but it's not for you. So don't make stuff up, but choose the parts of your background that make it easy for other people to see you. Like me, I don't know you yet, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for the next 6 minutes. How can you present the best of you for someone else as a gift?
I think anyone who says that they weren't smart enough to be a lawyer, but they could be an actuary is clearly lying. And everyone in the room would get that was a joke.
Yeah.
Just exactly how, like, when Andrew jumped on the call, he said Springboks are the best rugby team. I was like, Andrew just
storytelling in the missed facts.
exactly. So that's the question I was actually going to ask. What part does storytelling play in gaining that trust? Because I hear a lot of gurus talk about storytelling in sales, storytelling in everything, especially as you go up to Leaders Forum. And can you give us some like frameworks and tips there?
Yeah, I'm in the camp. Storytelling is critical. And I come to it from this line of logic, which is, even though sales is a noble profession to help other people make progress, in the process of doing that, part of your role is to inspire or influence people to see the world differently, to think differently, to consider different actions, and to take those actions, including but not limited to buying your product. In essence, to sell includes changing another human being's mind. And my view is telling people what to do just has them dig their heels in, argue for why they shouldn't, and it breeds resistance. Telling a case study or sharing a case study is showing people what might be done. But for me, a well-told story is the gift of allowing you to see for yourself a future that has an opportunity for your personal transformation in it. Like you'll get promoted, you'll solve your business problem, you'll have a great partnership with you, you'll see it for yourself, and you'll leave the experience convinced it's your idea, because it actually is. You took the idea from my story offered for you. Am I teaching? Am I giving? Am I influencing? Am I changing your mind? Yes. By recognizing that stories are like a Trojan horse that make facts and figures interesting to let in when otherwise they just are shut up. So I think it's critical and therefore essential that stories are genuine, told, practiced, and you take the right story at the right time for the right purpose. So I like to think of what is the decision and the emotion that serves Ricky in making progress in his life in this moment. And I might say, you know what he needs to be excited about? The opportunity to work with Sean on this new project. Can I tell a story that leaves you feeling excited at the opportunity for working with Sean?
That's very unlikely.
A story, but if you think about it.
Story. Okay. Yeah.
What is the future other than a shared story of what's going to happen tomorrow? And then we all live into that future. One way I like to think about selling is It's the conversational art of helping another by speaking their preferred future into existence. Because everything that's awesome in the world started as an idea. You guys had a conversation. That conversation led to a plan. And look at you. You're like killing life because you spoke it into existence. And can you do that for another human being? And that's why I think selling is so cool. Because with my mouth, I can make your tomorrow better. There's actual work we have to do. But the agreement for what we're going to do and that we will do it together was a conversation.
Cool. I want you definitely need to cut out just that little bit and have it as a thing. With my mouth, I made your tomorrow better.
Oh, I'm not sure.
That is going to be the tagline for this thing.
It's like, how the hell have I ended up with these two idiots? I just talk like so much wisdom, and then there's only taken away. I'm out.
It's just got to be that bit and nothing else. And then I will comment on it and it'll blow LinkedIn. LinkedIn will be blown up.
Like, wow, we'll never run for politics because you don't always articulate what I'm meant
exactly.
to say.
That was good. That was excellent.
All right. Awesome.
Like, again, with my voice, I can keep your future into existence. Break it tomorrow, better.
No, your first point was good.
Don't get out of this one.
Beauty of having it on record. Andrew, thank you for sharing so much wisdom. I have my last one question for you, unless Sean has other.
No, this is always last. This is the best.
So with everything you've done today, with everything you've achieved so far, Andrew, when you do decide to hang up your boots, what do you want to be known for? What should be your legacy?
A pathway to peace on earth through eudaimonic pursuit in the service of others. Aristotle said eudaimonia is that good spirited feeling we get from developing our skills. And I'm not a politician and I'm not a billionaire, but I believe every one of the 8 billion of us lined up has a voice. And what my life is for is to speak into tomorrow the opportunity for all of us to be so focused on getting good at what we do, loving the process, and serving others with these skills that we don't have time for, or an interest in, or a need for war or hate or abuse. I think it's a leg of the stool for peace on earth. And as an aspiring performance poet, I hope one day people will see my blown up remains over the Grand Canyon and say, there rains down, performance poet for peace.
You're good. Like
I thought this person's not going to work as well on a professor.
No.
He's going to have a freaking good answer, and he did.
What? Use all his frameworks, all his wisdom, knowledge. But great answer. It doesn't take away from the fact. Excellent, amazing answer. Love that, Andrew. I'd love to take you through. Sorry, you go.
I think what we do in life, we can all be just a little epicenter for peace in our families, our community, our country.
100%, mate. Totally.
I'm not sure what we bought, Ricky, but we bought something today. We're buying something.
Yeah. I'm already signed up.
I'm already signed up.
Yeah. Every course that Andrew's running, every management school, everywhere is that. We've booked them for Auckland, Sydney. You're doing a tour now. Andrew, I'd love to take you through.
Pick up the phone. I'll be down there. I'm happy to go.
Absolutely, mate. I know how much you want to be out here. Why wouldn't you? This is the best place on this planet Earth.
Your listeners are really privileged to have this kind of, not necessarily today, but the other content you have on your podcast is awesome. And thanks for what you do for young entrepreneurs, old ones too.
Trust me, they're going to get plenty out of this, a lot.
Absolutely. Andrew, now let's get to the heavy questions, the deep ones. Yeah. You can't get these wrong, right? There's only one right answer. Favorite sports team?
It has to be the rugby team of South Africa, the Springboks. My little boy fell in love with rugby as a result of this somewhat lucky recent World Cup win. I'm very proud of him.
Don't couch it while Ricky's here. Just be like the really easy win that we had in the World Cup. Like just rub it in.
We owned it. We owned every game leading up to the final and the final.
But he was born in America. His name's Lex. And he's convinced he's now more South African. So like, where's much stuff? And I had the privilege of going to the 1995 World Cup when South Africa first got back into rugby.
Yeah.
Saw Mandela, saw that amazing win over New Zealand. And
what did you bring to
I love this. You keep bringing up all the losses. Ricky's loving it.
I'll tell you, it's a story for another day. That was a turning point in my life, having grown up in one of the most racist countries in the world. That day was a personal transformation for me, because I saw things that day I'd never seen as a white South African, and it was beautiful and touching, and I speak about it often.
That's cool. Like, we should definitely do a follow-up, which is not healthy, not everything, and just talk about that stuff, because we're big on it. And as we were talking about earlier, so that would be good to come back to at some point, Andrew. Yeah. Let's continue with these favorite questions. What about favorite music genre? What do you listen to? What's on your playlist?
I gotta say, I love Eminem. Yeah, I do like, for some weird reason, the last 4 or 5 years, I got into what I'd describe as Brazilian jazz or eclectic jazz collection. And
you got to pick one, Andrew. You're missing the point. You got to pick one. You got to pick
Eminem's hip hop.
Hip hop. So, Sean, it's just in the it's in the sales blood.
Here's this white hip hop, mate. It's not that thing.
He said hip hop. He said Eminem just happens to be one of his favorite artists. He didn't just explain.
He's the only one. You can't name any other ones. He said Eminem twice.
Yeah, I did. I'll tell you, the best concert I've ever been to was Eminem, Dr. Dre, Gainsey, Beyonce, Yankee Stadium in New York.
Oh, Beyonce was there too.
Dublin, it was awesome.
Andrew, I don't know if you're into movies or not, but if you are, do you have a favorite one of all time?
Beautiful love story. It's got Nicole Kidman in it. She was phenomenal. So are the other actors. It's like just a spectacular movie. I love it.
He's doing it for the crowd, like Nicole Kidman, the Aussie. You can tell.
Yeah.
It is the first one. That's an interesting one.
I've never even seen it, so I have to add that to my list.
Yeah. What about favorite place to visit, Andrew? You mentioned you get away from Chicago in winter.
Yeah, Venice. I love getting lost in Venice. I know it's overcrowded, and I've been there a few times, and it was magically the right temperature, strangely not overcrowded, and just a beautiful experience.
Nice. And this is the tough one. This is where the whole concept of this podcast actually came from, Andrew. This is your last meal.
Okay.
Right, this is it. It's going down. You've got peanut butter crunchy on your right, peanut butter smooth. What are you going to go for? Because this is all about trust now.
Yeah, this is my
what
last
are you picking?
This is it. You got the choice between that.
And you can't go, give me something else. Like, that's all you got. Yeah, you're in the trust bucket.
I knew that because he wants to build trust. He knows what you want to say.
This is awesome.
My choice is I want to be shooting that thing while I look dead in the face and laughing.
And then we blow you up over the gear. We get the script. We know what to do.
Awesome. We'll do that on another episode one day.
Absolutely. Awesome, mate. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom, insights, and your personality. Awesome. And it's been amazing.
It was my privilege. I love meeting you. I'm honored that I got to spend some time with you. And I'm thrilled for what we created today together. Some magic for tomorrow.